Hi, and welcome to the Partner Showcase series. My name is Guy Bartram. I'm a Director of Product Marketing in VMware. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Atea and Jonas Emilsson. Jonas, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Jonas Emilsson, as Guy said, I'm the lead architect for Atea in our business unit, Hybrid Platforms. So short background on me, I got 25 years in the business, basically, both as a consultant and as a sales and business development person. So long history with VMware.
So let's talk a little bit about Atea and Atea's cloud services. What are some of the main services that you offer?
In terms of cloud services, we do a lot of stuff with infrastructure as a service, platform as a service delivery, and stuff like that. And also going forward, one of the big sort of key areas for us is supporting the transition into DevOps and agile development that we're seeing in the market now with Kubernetes and Tanzu specifically.
And what areas does Atea service? What kind of geographies do you cover?
Mainly the Nordics, I should say. Scandinavia, the Baltics, some customers are in Europe and some even in the US, but mainly in the Nordics. That's our prime focus.
So let's just dive into some of the cloud services then. So what are some of the challenges that your customers are seeing, and how's Atea working to address those?
Yeah, I would probably say that over time, the challenges have changed a little bit. It used to be infrastructural challenges like how do we get or how do we spin up virtual service, for example, in a fast enough pace, or how do we provide disaster recovery for our production sites. Going forward, and we see that very clearly in the market right now, it's actually the transition onto a more agile development scheme that's been going on in the market, specifically around Kubernetes and all of the cloud native stuff that's going on. I think a lot of the customers in Scandinavia, public sector, private sector, basically any customer are looking into new opportunities specifically for Kubernetes, either by external companies like companies that provide software, for example, for their business needs, or it could also be the internal IT department or development department that needs to transform their applications onto something new. So it's anything basically that has to do with cloud native.
Obviously, there's this transition period that customers are looking to go through with their app modernization programs, and all the time there is also managing their stuff, which is their business as usual, which is all the infrastructure, virtual machines, some of the legacy equipment. How does Atea can you take me through the kind of onboarding process, and then how do you address kind of some of those app modernization initiatives? Is it managed service? Are there self-services?
Both, I should say. We offer managed services as well as privately managed services, or infrastructure as a service delivery, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's both of that. And in terms of managed service, we provide a platform for the customers to be onboarded onto, so that they can run their Kubernetes stack or whatever, or they can just, as on an infrastructure level, spin up their own Kubernetes clusters and provision containers and what have you, basically, in that environment.
Right, so it's delivering them not only the infrastructure to manage their virtual machines and their VMware estate today, but also then that kind of the new next generation infrastructure, let's say, which is Kubernetes as a service, clusters, Kubernetes clusters as a service. Okay, and what are some of the kind of results that customers see working with Atea? How or are there any kind of specific customer use cases that spring to mind that would be good examples of some of the outcomes that customers have seen?
Yeah, I think overall, a lot of the customer market, at least in the Nordics, are a little bit afraid of moving on to DevOps or cloud native as a technology, basically, because it demands a lot of the infrastructure as well as the internal knowledge of the platform, and how do you manage it, how do you lifecycle govern and everything like that. So there's a sort of a reluctant interest to move to an on-premise delivery of those kinds of services. So where we come in, and I think that's actually where our main value is we shorten their time to market or time to production specifically for Kubernetes or modern applications platforms by enabling being a service that they can just be really swiftly onboarded onto.
Right. So then they're getting the benefit of all of the experience, the skills and resources that Atea have in managed services, but also the kind of the platform target to kind of do their app modernization and achieve their kind of business goals going forward.
Right, exactly. And in terms of competencies, I mean, Atea is VMware's biggest partner in Northern Europe, so we provide a lot of consultants together with our services as well. So it's just to sort of get that maturity level that the customer needs to be able to execute on this modern applications story that is going on. We can support that fully.
Yeah, I think that's a really differentiated value, right? Because a lot of it is just actually understanding, being able to do the assessment of the workloads that are there today and understanding what can easily move, what is going to be challenging, prioritizing that, costing that, and then providing like the skills and resources behind that. And obviously, you guys have been a VMware partner for a very long time now, delivering cloud services, and you kind of seen the portfolio evolve, but also, I mean, recently you've seen some of the program aspects evolve, and you guys have become zero carbon committed, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we were one of the first initial partners for that program. So all of our data centers are sort of really environmental friendly. We do the production way up north to lower the cost for cooling and stuff like that. And all of the deliveries is based on the notion of being as zero carbon committed as we basically can.
So customers basically will be able to forward their environmental strategies and goals by running their services in your data centers.
Yeah, definitely. And overall, Atea in general sort of leads the environmental discussion in the Nordic, I think. It's sort of a subjective statement, but still, I think we actually do lead the way forward. So it's a big deal of our strategy towards our customer base.
Yeah, right. And when we're looking at the totality of what customer needs, it's obviously not just managing their VMware workloads today. It's the future of their workloads and where those apps are going to go and how they're going to change. But also it's the communications as well between customers and your data centers. And Atea, being a big company, has lots of different businesses within Atea that take care of pretty much end-to-end everything. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, our history, that's definitely on the infrastructural side. So anything from networking to server to storage or what have you, basically. Virtualization is our home turf. So all of the stuff that's within the data center now being extended onto the cloud or hybrid cloud delivery is something that we can help and assist with, definitely. And what kind of upcoming offerings are there in the portfolio that you're planning to deliver, Jonas, which customers should know about, and how would it help them? Modern applications specifically, of course, and that's sort of the topic for today. So that's something that we'll be providing in our platform, and it are providing now, but we're also going to develop it into something a little bit more enterprise grade over the upcoming months. So that's definitely something. And as well as the traditional services, of course, we do cloud directors, service delivery, we do disaster recovery as a service, for example. All of those services are being refined, and we're seeing larger and larger customers being onboarded to that platform because of the maturity level and the stability that we provide in that specific service. So it's just going to be sort of it's not going to be a revolution, but it's going to be an evolution. And I think if you talk about speedy development and getting into modern applications, that will definitely be something that we will be able to provide fully going forward.
Okay, that's great. Good to know. So I just want to step back a tiny bit and let's talk about the a customer have. So if I'm a kind of vSphere console user today, I'm managing my own IT estate. How does that change when I start using Atea Cloud? What would it look like? What am I going to have access to, and what type of capabilities will I be able to drive?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, if you're a traditional vSphere user today, you're going to get a similar interface in terms of you'll have access to all of your VMs, all of your disks, all of your networking. You'll have full control of all of that. If you're running disaster recovery, for example, you have the full integration with vSphere. So you're going to be able to integrate it between the private data center and our services. So it's going to be familiar in terms of infrastructure delivery, basically. In terms of the other stuff, I mean, modern applications, the Tanzu and all of that, that's going to be a sort of a separate application, but it's going to be fully integrated onto the stack that we already are providing on an IaaS level.
Right. So
a lot of familiarity, I think.
So your interface would change from being vSphere to cloud, or which basically sits atop vSphere, NSX, all of the SDDC software and the components, as well as Tanzu.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so that makes quite a smooth transition. Makes it quite nice for an admin if they want to carry on doing self-service. They can obviously take a managed service from Atea to do this as well. But if they wanted to have hands-on, it's there for them.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's sort of the choice of the customer. Basically, we can provide anything, and what we're seeing basically is a lot of our customers are moving on to managed service because they want to have a subscription-based consumption. They don't want to worry about the day-to-day operations and stuff like that. So that's sort of a growing market. But still, if you're an infrastructural guy, you can buy pretty much what you have today, but on a sort of a new interface with a familiar connection, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a shift in business, isn't it? It's whereas the business before was very much the lifeblood of the business with the VMs and the data center, the private data center they had, or the cage they had somewhere. Now it's that needs to become business as normal. That's stuff that we don't want to be taken care of anymore. We need it because it's a lot of cases our main sources of revenue are our digital environment, that VMware environment. But we also need to modernize. So we need to focus here and not here anymore. And try and really align our skills and resources to that. So do you find like a lot of customers come on initially taking the self-service, and after a while think, well, actually, it's probably better we take the managed service for that, and we focus on more on getting the app modernization play?
Definitely, and I think that speaks for the maturity level of the market in general. A lot of the stuff that we were used to do ourselves are being, as you said, it's being considered now a commodity. So you don't need to focus on provisioning disks or managing networks. You will have a provider for that, basically. So I think a lot of the IT departments also are moving up the chain of maturity in terms of how they are providing IT services internally. And then us as a service provider, we sort of reflect that because they want to have it as a managed service. They want to have a service level agreement in place. They want everything to be managed just for them to be able to focus on their core business.
I think you mentioned a really good point, and I'm just going to zoom into that service level agreement and support, right? I mean, this is the key differentiator with working with a VMware service provider versus a hyperscaler.
Right.
They're going to get that single person, that phone at any time of day. They're going to get the SLA. What does the support structure look like in that respect?
Well, it's basically up to the customer which type of support they want to contract themselves to. But we provide anything from 24 hours a day, 365 days a year services up to regular office hours. It's mostly up to the customer what they want to sign up for. But we provide the full scale, if you will.
Why should customers work with Atea? What's Atea's kind of key differentiator in the market, would you say?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Atea has a super long history with VMware, of course. And as I said, we are VMware's biggest partner in Northern Europe. Our competency levels in terms of VMware technology and hybrid cloud in general are very high. And of course, our presence across the Nordics is pretty impressive. We have about 6,500 employees over the Nordics that can support our customers fully, even though they're being handled with sort of in the cloud. We can have local consultants on site and stuff like that to fully support their lifecycle governance.
Right.
So definitely that, and also our continuous focus with VMware and with modern applications specifically. Then and that's sort of a transition that we are doing ourselves now, moving on to Kubernetes and Tanzu and transforming the competency needed by consultants to be able to support that as well. But that's something that we absolutely will provide for our customers going forward.
Brilliant. And lastly, Jonas, how should customers get in touch with Atea?
Probably the easiest way is to get to our website, atea.se, where you find contact information, or reach out on our social networks, LinkedIn, for example, or whatever channel that might be out there, and we'll be there to respond.
Thank you very much, Jonas, for your time today. It's been great to find out a little bit about Atea and what you guys do, and thank you again.
Perfect. Thank you, Guy.